Alright, so now that you guys all learned how to do your transfers to get somebody into the boat, we're going to start looking at adapting the boat to the person. So with these electronics that we have up here, we can actually adapt this boat so that anybody can sail this boat, no matter what type of disability, no matter how high level it is. They can control it first using just pure electronics, using the joystick as if it was a power chair, by turning side to side and pulling the sails in and out. Or if they can't even do that, then we have the straws for the sip and puff system, so they can do it with nothing but their breath. So over here we have a couple key points, a couple key pieces of electronics. So we've got the auto helm box over here, and this is essentially, it has the joystick and it has the batteries inside which run all the electronics. It has a couple of plugs in here for all the equipment that's going to go into it. Over there, over here, and the switch. And then there's also the places where you put the straws, and up here. So that's the auto helm box. Next we have the piston, and this piston over here plugs into the box, and it's what's used to steer the boat with the power electronics. And then the third part we have is the windlass over here, and this is used to pull in the sails. So those are all the pieces of equipment, and with these pieces you can have anybody sail the boat with no strength at all or very little strength, and they can just use the power assists. Alright, so now I'm going to get you guys to just set these all up on land and try to see how they work before putting anything in the boat just on land. So here's your box. There's a little notch over here.
Okay.
So you want to line that up with the notch here. So now it's easier to pick it up so you can see it properly.
Okay, but there's a bunch of... I'm just...
Now sometimes if you can't get it, you might want to try twisting it to get the notch to line up. Like it's in. Yeah, that's it.
Okay.
Now you'll see lower down on the rope there's a little screw, so you can try screwing that in just to make it watertight. Okay, so that's how we plug in the windlass. And then the second piece of equipment that we have is the piston. So how do you think this is going to plug in? Oh, you want to go the other way? Okay, so we're going to get to the back on this, and you see there's a switch. So this switch is the on-off switch. It's very complex. So we're going to push it down and turn it to on. And we can test it just to see if everything's working on land. Let's look to turn the piston, which is the steering. We're going to go side to side. So you'll see it's steered. It goes back and forth, and that's going to push the rudder from side to side to steer the boat. Okay, so now you'll see with the windlass, you go back and forth, and it's going to spin in and out to sheet the sails both in and out. And then the last step, for the people that need them, you can install the straws. Now the straws are going to plug into the two ports up here, and all it does is it activates a switch inside the box, and it makes the electronics work just by breathing in and out in one of the two straws. One of them controls the steering and one controls the sails. Okay. Okay, so now that we know how all of this stuff works, we're going to talk about when we're going to use it, because it's not every situation that you're going to use the electronics or all of the parts of the electronics. When we take people sailing, there's some people that use them sometimes, but don't always use them. So what types of situations do you think you would have someone use an auto helm sometimes, but other times they wouldn't?
Well, if it's really windy, it's probably hard to steer.
Exactly. So sometimes when it's a really breezy day and people have strength but not as much as they might need, they'll use it when it's a really windy day, but other days they prefer to use it the normal way without the auto helm. So sometimes when it's windier you use it. There's another opportunity that comes up a lot of time where people don't like the way that the windlass works for the sails, so they'll just use the steering and they'll have their companion do the sails under their command. So usually these electronics are only used when needed, and some people, if it's a light day, they'll go do it themselves, and when there's more heavier air, they'll opt to use the electronics instead. So now let's see how they work inside the boat. We're going to be putting the windlass onto the top of the keel. Now, the first step to do this is going to be to loosen the front bolt on the keel. Now, it's really important to make sure that you only take off one of them and loosen one of them, because if you take them both off, the keel is going to fall out of the boat. So we're going to loosen the front bolt up here. Get it nice and loose. Now if you look at the back of the windlass, you're going to notice there's two holes. There's one in the front that slides, so that's going to slide onto the bolt that you just loosened in the front, and then one on the back that's just going to sit on top of the bolt. So we're going to take the windlass, we're going to slide it in front, and you'll see it'll pop on. Now right now it's still loose, so what we're going to have to do is retighten the bolt in the front that we loosened in the first place. Just getting a finger tight is usually good enough because it's hard to get the wrench in there, and you'll see the windlass is properly inserted onto the boat.